Does your notebook ever feel like a graveyard for great ideas? We have all been there. You finish a podcast, you close a leadership book, or you leave a high-level strategy session. Feeling incredibly inspired, you have a list of 3 or 4 things that you know would transform your team's performance if you actually did them. But then Monday morning hits, and the emails, the fires, the back-to-back meetings take over, and by Wednesday, that transformational insight is just a scribbled note buried under the to-do list. This is the gap between what leaders know and what they actually do. Whether we look at a high-growth startup or a massive non-profit, the pattern is the same. We confuse consumption with growth. We feel like we are moving forward because we are learning. But if the daily systems of the work hasn't changed, the insight eventually evaporates. So just pause and notice how many of your intentions from earlier this month have actually been baked into your team's daily workflow. We often talk about the integration gap. To understand why this gap exists, I look to David Kolb's experiential learning theory. Kolb argues that learning isn't just the experience itself, it's a 4-stage cycle. And most leaders get stuck in reflective observation, that is the thinking phase, and never move into active experimentation, that is the doing phase. Kolb famously stated that knowledge is the transformation of experience. If you aren't changing a habit, a checklist, or a meeting format, you haven't actually learned a new concept. You have just been momentarily inspired. True growth only happens when you move an idea from your head into the environment around you. The reality is that you cannot willpower your way to better leadership. You have to structure your way there. Think of your leadership style like an operating system. If you want a new result, you don't just wish for it, you update the code. For example, if you realize that this month your team needs more autonomy, don't just try to be less hands-on. Instead, restructure the approval process, remove your name from the final sign-off, change the digital dashboard so that data is visible to everyone at once. So when you change the system, the behavior happens automatically. You don't have to try anymore. The system handles the heavy lifting for you. And that's the beauty of a structure. As we close out February, I want to challenge you to look at your integration ratio. Look back at the last 4 weeks. Pick one single insight that really hit home for you. And now ask yourself, what is the one structural change I can make today that ensures I never have to remember this insight again? Maybe it's a new question on your 1:1 template, or maybe it's an automated report that replaces a 30-minute status meeting. So don't leave your growth to chance, leave it to the system and see the magic. Before we move into March, I would love to hear from you. What is one great idea you have had recently that is still sitting in your notebook? And let's talk about how to build a system that finally brings it to life. So stop collecting insights, start building the structure that sustains them. And I'll see you in the next video.